And here we have the reckoning of Gotham City. Everyone shall kneel upon my grace. Mike, have you any statements to make?
I don't really have any statements to make, Bane, but I gotta tell you, please don't blow up the city.
The football stadium in particular?
Don't blow up the stadium.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Don't blow it up.
It's a mic test, by the way. Mic test.
Testing the mics out.
Bang! I was born in a light. Yeah, this is.
Who is your favorite
Batman?
Batman? Who's your favorite Batman villain? What
All time?
Oh, well, I guess the Joker, right? Besides the Joker.
No, Joker wasn't even my favorite. I think Bane might be.
Yeah, Bane is a good one. The good Bane,
No,
not the one from the Batman Forever.
I'm talking about as a comic book reader. I'm not talking about as just a Bane was.
But Bane was Bane part of the core crew, like the Riddler, the Penguin.
He became a big player and then he dropped off.
Catwoman.
Yeah, he wasn't along
Poison
those lines.
Ivy.
He wasn't along those lines. Of like.
Was Bane even in the Adam West ones?
Alright, yeah. How about this? How about we're gonna get into talk about Batman villains? Now that
we're talking about it.
Now that we're talking about it.
Well, Batman villains, obviously, put Joker to the side, because everybody's going to say their favorite one is Joker. Obviously.
I wouldn't say that.
I think Riddler might be my second favorite. I mean,
Riddler, I'd prefer Riddler over Joker.
I didn't really like the Penguin as much as a lot of people did. I like Bane, but was Bane part of the core original villains? Yeah, Catwoman was a big villain.
Yeah, I like Catwoman better than I like Joker. I like Riddler. I like Scarecrow. Scarecrow was a dope character.
Oh yeah, Scarecrow was good. Yeah, Scarecrow was good.
But
who do you think was the hardest one for him to defeat? In like,
see, that's the other thing too, because Batman
he never actually killed them.
Not that he just didn't kill them, but he didn't have any powers, and there were some villains that he was dealing with that had powers.
Such as
Killer Croc.
And Poison Ivy.
Do you remember?
Mr. Freeze.
I don't know if you know the character Killer Croc. That guy, he had like crocodile skin.
Yeah, crocodile skin. And Mr. Freeze, he had powers, but they were like...
Yeah, it was like armor-based powers.
Poison Ivy actually had real powers, though. Like, Poison Ivy, she...
Well, I think she was just a
botanist?
Yeah.
I guess Joker was his most hardest one to kill, I guess, or to even defeat.
Joker had no powers. Scarecrow had no powers.
But do you remember... How they would solve a crime when the Riddler would send a note? It would be like...
Should I just put the microphone down?
No, it would be like Riddler would say something like, do what you want, but if you do, it might be the end. And then they would narrow it down. Do what you want? Oh, that means we can do what we want, Batman. And then remember how they would analyze it and come up with no ordinary person would ever figure out how Batman solved the Riddler's riddles. Because they would just go on and on. Oh, shoe. Oh, what happens to the shoe? Gum gets stuck to a shoe.
Did you actually read the comics?
I had a lot of the comics, and I'm basing this upon the Adam West TV series. How they would make fun of how they would solve those things. But no, in the comic, who would you say was the most lethal one in the comic? Who did they make it? Was the Joker probably, right?
The Joker piled up a lot of
But let's say all the Batman villains fought each other.
Piled up a lot of bodies.
If all the Batman villains fought each other, Bane would be the most strongest, right? Who do you think would win out of all the Batman villains? Mr. Freeze, Bane, Catwoman, Joker, like, it would have...
Oh, I'm also not too familiar with past 90s stuff, so I wouldn't be able to go into any... friggin' Batman stories about that.
But I'm talking about who's the most powerful Batman villain, like if they fought each other. Villain versus villain. Because even in the TV series from back in the days, the villains would turn on each other a little bit every now and then. There was no loyalty there.
In the comic books, the villains would do that.
Well, yeah, but do you think Mr. Freeze could defeat... Well, Scarecrow... Well, Mr. Freeze... See, Riddler had no real abilities. He was just smart with his mind.
So was Scarecrow.
Did Penguin have like a spit or something?
So was Joker. They were all smart. Joker and Scarecrow are kind of similar because they were both with the deadly chemicals.
Right.
Type thing.
Right, with the deadly chemicals. Right, they fought dirty. And Mr. Freeze obviously had the, freeze ability to him.
Yeah. But
Catwoman was just basically like a cat.
She was like the least murderous of everybody.
Right, she was like give or take. One day she loved him, one day she hated him, I guess, right? They used to having like an affair. Right?
Everyone else would murder everybody. Even the Penguin would murder people.
Well, all the villains wanted to murder people. That was their whole thing, just kill people off.
Yeah, but Catwoman wasn't like the infamous murderer the way everyone else was.
Was Harley Quinn introduced as a villain to the Batman also, right? The whole Harley Quinn deal.
They made her into a comic book character because of her popularity from the cartoon.
Oh, really? So that's how it came about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Poison Ivy, she had basically... Well, if we go into the origin story, did Poison Ivy, like the movie and the comic, did she really...
Well, which origin story do you mean?
Well, in the comic book origin story. Like in Catwoman in the movie, they make...
But which comic book origin story? Because they're always doing...
Detective Comics is all about all...
I'm saying they're always doing a different... They're always mixing it up.
In my opinion, no, I'm saying the original. Like the original...
That I'll have to look up. I don't know what to say about that. I'll have to look that one up.
Okay. So, because in the movie Poison Ivy, something happened with plants and they took her over and she became powerful with the Poison Ivy.
And she was Uma Thurman, yes.
Joker fell in a vat of acid and he became Smiley Guy, but who knows? They changed that story.
I liked Uma Thurman in that costume, by the way.
As Poison Ivy?
I thought she looked good as Poison Ivy. I think she was like the best thing about that stupid movie.
Yeah, she had Batman and Robin fighting over her.
Not her acting.
Well... I'm not saying Uma Thurman's not a good actor, but...
Oh, she is.
All of the acting in that movie was pretty much bad because the person who directed it...
Told them
just to do what you want to do. Almost like George Clooney. He was playing the ER George Clooney.
They're horrible. Every single one.
But, I think the best acting came from Alicia Silverstone in that particular one. Alicia Silverstone.
So is this a movie, so is this a topic about Batman characters? Or Batman movies, or is this a topic?
Oh, this is just shooting the ship.
Talking about Batman.
We're just talking. Like that. Remember that with the Seinfeld episode? We're just talking. Oh no, we're just talking. When the Mets wanted to meet with George Costanza, we're just talking
about Batman.
No, look. So many people have way better knowledge of this stuff. I grew up on this and I followed it and I had the comics, but I never really took it into my system.
I have 70s, 80s, and 90s knowledge of Batman, and that's.
There's people that were born after the year 2000.
Oh, yeah, no, I had reprints of the older stuff too. I did have a couple of reprint comics of the older stuff.
Yeah, and I'm just going based upon everything we. And look, the Batman comic, the original one came out what year? In the 60s?
Detective Comics.
When did the first Batman comic book come out?
Detective Comics number 27.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. You know the fucking issue.
You're damn right I do.
Oh, wow. And then the Detective Comics started doing that logo with the bat symbol on the corner, right? They started doing that. But the villains is what made the Batman show good.
It's kind
because the villains made that. There was like
the Batman show.
Well, the Batman thing in general, the whole Batman genre, it was all about the villains. The villains were more popular, in my opinion, than Batman was. I love the Joker, I love the Riddler, I love Mr. Freeze, I love the Penguin, I love Catwoman, I love all of them. In this show, I think Burgess Meredith, who was the guy who played Mick on Rocky, was playing freaking Penguin, right?
Yes. Burgess Meredith was the Penguin.
Burgess Meredith was the Penguin. And wasn't Catwoman somebody popular too? Some sexy actress from back in the days?
There was 2 or 3 different women who played Catwoman.
Oh, okay.
The hottest one was Julie Newmar. She was the hottest one.
Julie Newmar, that was the one that I'm thinking about. Remember the submarine when they had all the villains at one time and it was the
that wasn't her in the movie.
Oh, okay. In the movie I'm talking about, right. There was a movie that they did and that was that one.
Yeah, the crappy, the show was crappy. It was funny, campy, crappiness,
No, it was absolutely crappy. But people loved the Hulk with Lou Ferrigno when it first came out and,
But you would say Batman is a generational character depending on whatever media you were.
Absolutely. Like right now, if you tried to show millennials Adam West Batman, they wouldn't like it.
But I'm saying whatever media you were introduced to from Batman, whether it was video games, toys, comic books, cartoons, movies, like.
My first introduction to Batman was the comic book.
Mine too.
Right.
Yes, mine too. And then my second was either action figures or the Adam West cartoon.
Let me tell you, the favorite DC characters of most people would be Batman. People love Batman. More than Superman.
Yeah, people don't give Superman as much love as Batman.
No, Batman always gets the most love. In fact, when the Batman v Superman was coming out, everyone wanted Batman to,
I love Superman as a character too, though.
No, I mean, who doesn't? I mean,
those are my first 2 comic book characters I was introduced to.
Those are probably the 2 best characters in comics. Even more than Marvel characters, is Batman and Superman.
Wow, you sound like a DC fanboy.
And I'm not really, though. I like Marvel stuff better.
I'm not really either a DC fanboy. It's just kind of what I was introduced to is the DC stuff.
Yeah. And I like the villains, we talked about this before, I like the villains of Batman more, I think, than the Superman villains.
Who do you think has the best roster of villains? Spider-Man, Batman, X-Men, I'd say those 3.
Well, Spider-Man has some good villains, too.
Yeah, Spider-Man got dope villains.
Yeah, with the whole Venom and Doc Ock.
With Batman as a great roster of villains. The X-Men, I think the X-Men has a really good roster of villains.
Yeah, because they have cooler villains. They have mutant-type villains. Magneto and the whole group that he rolls with.
But there's some really scrubby Batman villains, too. I'm sure you've never even heard
of. Enlighten me.
Calendar Man?
Yep, you're right. Haven't heard of him.
You've never seen him?
I think you did a... Did you do a...
No.
On Calendar Man?
No. You didn't see what Calendar Man looks like?
No.
The Cavalier?
Again, another one.
No?
In fact, I didn't know a lot of DC villains until I started watching that TV show with Vanessa Hudgens called Powerless, where they showed a lot of obscure type villains, which I can't really tell you who they were.
Yeah,
but
probably those 2 characters I named might be thrown in there.
Possibly. Because I know when I was watching the Titans, they had the Deadshot or whatever, and Mr. Light or something like that, or
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke, right? Deathstroke. I don't know. I mean, really, what's funny is that Superman's biggest villain was a person who had no superpowers at all, Lex Luthor.
Joker doesn't have superpowers either.
You're right. That is a good point. That is a good point.
Going to Batman,
That is a great point. But you're looking at 2 people who had no really superpowers anyway with that particular thing. Superman had the ability to do anything he wanted. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor would outsmart him with the kryptonite or whatever he would do with LexCorp. Let me tell you.
But your favorite joke, your favorite is Joker.
It makes you think about this.
Joker, you say, is your favorite Batman villain.
No, well, I mean, putting him to the
I
side.
don't really know who my favorite.
Putting him to the side, I would have.
I don't know who my favorite Batman.
It would have to be
villain
Bane
is.
also. Bane is another good one, though.
But Batman always had the best. For a rogues gallery of villains.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you wanted to do like a what is it called, the Mount Rushmore of villains, it would be the Batman's villains. Absolutely, they would be on the Mount Rushmore with the Joker with the nice face. But you know what's interesting is that what villain is more powerful? The one that has powers that's stupid, or the one like Lex Luthor who's extremely smart and can really outsmart you?
That's a good point.
Those are the real villains, the ones that will outsmart you with their brain.
That's what Bane was. Now that you reminded me of Bane, like that's what Bane was in the comics. Bane was brain and bronze, brains and brawn. Sorry, Bane was a mastermind that could actually beat the shit out of 4 people.
And still know exactly the circumference of like the area he's in.
That's what he was in the comic books. They didn't really do that in the movies. I mean,
so he was like an intellectual monster.
and
right, they didn't focus on that in the movies. In fact, in the first movie where they showed Bane, he was a complete idiot.
And he was powered on super steroids.
Yeah, he was a moron. And then in the other Bane, he was very smart, actually. Remember the plane scene in the beginning? That plane scene in the beginning, I love that movie. I don't know how you don't love that movie as much as I do, that Dark Knight Rises. That movie is awesome. I'm just saying, I don't know, you know, I like them all a lot. Let me tell you something about superhero movies in general. It takes a lot for me not to like it. You know what I'm trying to say?
It takes a lot for you to not like it.
Yeah, it would have to be really horrible for me not to like it. Like, take Avengers. I like all the Avengers movies, but some of them were way too long. They could have trimmed the fat off some of them. They really could have. That's the only thing about the superhero movies that I didn't like, was that they were way too long. There was a lot of dialogue. All you want to see is fighting. You just want to see action. You want to see the Hulk smash, or should I say Hulk smash things, and pretty much just go buck wild. You don't want to see them talking.
No, I don't want to.
And you don't want to see Hulk as, remember in the last one where he was.
If I want to see Tony Stark, I want to see Tony Stark as Iron Man.
Right.
I don't want to see him talking for 30 minutes as Tony
That's how
Stark.
Iron Man 3 was. He wasn't even Iron Man. He was Tony Stark in the whole
I don't want to see
movie.
him talking for 30 minutes as Tony Stark.
And what about the last Avengers when the Hulk just had the glasses the whole time?
I don't want to see Chris Evans like he's out there fighting with the Avengers without a Captain America mask. Like, nah.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
don't want
make
to
any
see
sense.
that. No. I don't want to see Mark Ruffalo.
Was Marvel on the
I want to
rights?
see Mark Ruffalo's face on Hulk.
Exactly. He was pretty much Mark Ruffalo in the green face. You know, which is crazy.
But for Batman villains, like,
Mhm.
alright, I want to try to keep this on track with Batman villains.
I didn't even know we were on.
I don't care about them making movies and all, because I know they're gonna keep doing it
making
regardless.
movies.
Regardless, they're gonna make Batman James Bond.
Oh, Batman's never gonna end.
They're gonna make Batman James Bond. Every 5 years, there's gonna be a new Batman.
Yeah, yeah. And they'll go to a different genre in the comic books. They have a different decade.
Exactly. Or make up their own shit.
Yeah. Well,
Or make up their own shit. And
I guess.
one thing I want to see is Will Arnett as the Riddler. I want to see Will Arnett play the Riddler. Because I think Will Arnett would be dope as the
Oh,
Riddler.
he probably would make a good Riddler.
I know he did the voice of Lego Batman, but still,
Riddler,
seeing him as the Riddler, I think he'd be good as the Riddler.
Riddler being Edward Nygma. Yeah, he would be a good Edward Nygma, yes. Yeah, Will Arnett.
But who do you think for upcoming Batman movies? Who would you want to see as the villains?
Good question. A very good question. Okay, so Okay, so let's take the Penguin, for instance.
Yeah, who do you think would be a good
Who
Penguin?
would be a good Penguin?
You
Oh.
think maybe Jason Alexander?
That's too much Danny DeVito type. Jason Alexander is way out of his prime, I think.
I think he could be in the running.
Wow, who would make a good Penguin? Actually, any of those, actually, it's a good question. Or the Joker, or, it's just hard to tell unless
Well, you said already that they're on slate for Joaquin Phoenix to keep playing Joker.
Oh, yeah, he's doing
right?
it's already signed up. Joker Part 2.
So, alright, leave the Joker out of the question. What about the other villains in the movies? I don't know, they were saying Jonah Hill as the Penguin.
No, I don't see that. I don't even like when it's popular I don't know if I like when it's really popular,
sometimes it's
like Tom Cruise as one of the fuck.
Sometimes it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss, you know? Hit or miss is always the...
There's always the thing with the superhero movies. Like, in other words, like, if you ask me who I didn't like, I could tell you who I didn't like in some of the Marvel movies.
No, Batman. Gordon Batman.
Okay, because I didn't like Nick Fury and whatever, Samuel Jackson. Okay, so stick on Batman thing.
You like Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
See, that's the thing. At the time, I did because
we need a better representation.
Right, but at the time, I did because he was
On
short.
screen.
He played the role pretty disgustingly, like the Penguin would. Do you think the Penguin has to be a short guy, like that Seth Green character?
That was the Penguin shtick in the comic book.
Well, maybe Seth Green could play the
He's a short, fat guy.
Oh, it has to be. Well, you go. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say without looking at a list of actors who could play a good Penguin. I mean, in Gotham, the kid who played Penguin, he didn't really play.
It was called The Gotham.
Well, it was Gotham. But he didn't really play the Penguin dressed up character with the top hat and it didn't. He also had like
I didn't watch that.
Yeah, he just played like a regular.
I know everyone was telling me to watch that because it's going into all the Batman villains. And
let me tell you something.
And then you told me how it just crapped out.
If there was only
crapped out with the series, they just gave up on it.
The series was excellent. If there was any bad thing about it, was that there was way too many villains. They pulled out all the villains, and then Jim Gordon had to go after them the whole time. It was crazy. It was just insane. I mean, all of them at one time. You had the guy who was like Alice in Wonderland type guy who would hypnotize people.
Mad Hatter.
Mad Hatter, right? You had the Mad Hatter in there. I mean, you had so many.
And he was a comic character too. Mad Hatter.
You had the guy who ran Arkham Asylum, Hugo Strange. I mean, he did. I mean, the show was great. There was just so many. Firefly.
Batman had a great.
Firefly.
Batman had a great list of villains that they didn't even try to drop in the movies too much.
And you know what's funny? They could have dropped. They didn't have to drop one or two. They could have put villains doing their side things or whatever.
Exactly, and then drag them into the next movie.
Exactly.
As the character.
Yes. Yeah, you could have had multiple villains, but they only stuck with certain villains at certain times. You had the Two-Face character, which is a good character.
They had Scarecrow. Oh yeah, Two-Face, of course.
But you had Aaron Eckhart's interpretation was good, but I don't. Tommy Lee Jones.
I'm sorry, I loved him as Two-Face. Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face was dope.
I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. But I don't know if I like Tommy Lee Jones as much. It was more like
Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face, I like better than Heath Ledger as Joker.
I don't agree with you on that.
Because Aaron Eckhart's thing unfolded before.
I like Heath Ledger's Joker better than Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker was legendary. Everybody loves Jack Nicholson's Joker, which he did good when the movie came out.
They were all great in their own ways.
Right, they were all great. Jack Nicholson did a great job as Joker.
I thought all three of them were great in their own ways.
You can still watch Batman right now, Michael Keaton, and the Joker was Jack Nicholson, and still love it right now. It still holds up.
That's the one thing too. All right.
It still holds up.
All right. Talking about Batman villains, I'm not a huge fan of the Joker. Like I said, Joker is my favorite. But Jack Nicholson made that freaking movie.
Did a great
Jack
job.
Nicholson in the first Michael Keaton Batman movie. Jack Nicholson made that movie.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Exactly. He made that movie. Oh, he was amazing in that movie.
And you had about 20 Prince songs in there as well. I think that original Batman movie still holds up right now. Like if you put it on right now, like if people never seen the original one, you put it on right now, it's really good. It's really good. The Joker.
Just want to talk about some Batman stuff.
Yeah, this was just off the cuff.
Off the cuff stuff. Have a good one, folks. Later.